Welcome to AA Podcast. It's been a while, but honored to be with Joseph Motiki.
How you doing, man? You good?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm not bad. You know what? I'm plugging, breathing. Everything's all right. No gripes.
Right. Hey, this is a long time making. I've been trying to get you, for a couple months now?
More than that. I think you hit me up last year, and I said, talk to me in the spring. Let's see if it works out and everything.
Right.
I've been lucky that I've been busy. So busy is good and everything, right? So, but it's good to be here, bro.
Right. I appreciate you taking the time out. But first thing I want to ask you, Joe, is that I'm aware that your TV anniversary is coming up in a few days.
Yeah, for me, it's May 30th has always been my anniversary. So the first show that I ever did was a late night phone-in show at TV Ontario called What? Okay. And it was live. We did the pilot May 30th, 1994. So I remember I was still in school at the time. I was taking radio and television arts downtown. And we had there was an ad in the paper. Back when there were newspapers, there used to be these things called newspapers that people used to rifle through and get the sports and the weather and all that sort of thing. And they had an ad for the host with the most. It was an open cattle call. And I went in to the cattle call. There's about 350 people who went into the cattle call and just went in, had the initial audition. So that was probably like March of 94. Okay. And then over the course of the next 6-8 weeks, they kind of just whittled it down, 170, 85, and then eventually me. So we knocked out the pilot. We went live May 30th, 1994 at 10 p.m. And it was a special called Ifs, Ads, or Buts. And it was about advertising and smoking, how it's targeted to youth.
Right. Is that the one where the ad is like you're in the subway? You're in the subway, the subway's flying behind you or something, and you're holding signs?
Yeah. So I've got the actual, we did that at Eglinton Station. Okay. And they gave me I got the little sign, and of course I sped it up, and I'm wearing some very 1990s clothes. There's a lot of plaid back in the day. It's like plaid like crazy. So it was like I think I had the t-shirt with like the cut off plaid here with a little hoodie and everything, little cap. From 8 Miles, I think it was. That was like a cool cap shop downtown.
8 Miles?
I think it was 8 Miles or 100 miles. Might have been 100 miles. Mm-hmm. But man, that dude's gonna be. Well, I don't think they're in business anymore, so I don't think it's gonna matter. But it'll be fine. I had the cap. It was a good time, man. So May 30th, 1994 was when I started. So
Okay, so before I ask you about your actual upbringing, like where you grew up, how do you mentally prepare for an audition that's gonna have like 500 people that you mentioned?
You know what? Look, then I was still in school, so there was literally no preparation. It was basically just going in. They just want to kind of have an idea of what you were like, right? So as I always tell people, look, at the end of the day, they want you for you. So, and back then, like I was 21, it was, there were things that I was learning in school that now I was going to actually use for the first time, like in an actual audition, right? So, I mean, squaring up with the camera and, just minding my space, all of that sort of thing. So I figured, so look, this was, for me, that was like a total nothing to lose scenario, right? Gonna go in. I only found out there's 350 people after the fact. When I was there, it seemed like 1,000 because the place was rammed, right? That was 4th floor at TVO, and it was just wall-to-wall people, right? 'Cause it was just cattle call. Anybody can walk in. Anybody can come. That's what a cattle call is. Okay. So they just put the ad out and you just line up, right? And then next, and that's what it was. So so for that, look, I've learned a lot of stuff since then. But for that first time, it was just like, look, just be me. All they asked for was like to bring in a picture of yourself. I didn't have any professional glossies or anything like that. So I just brought in a couple of pictures of me jumping on beds in New Year's in Montreal. And I said, all right, man, like, this is me, right? I'm just having fun. I'm having a good time. So, just to give you an idea of who I am, right? So, so back then it's just, look, just the only thing was just be true to me, right? Okay. Which everybody should do anyway, but in that situation, you certainly can't pretend. I'm sure a lot of people did pretend to be something they weren't, but that's not what anybody wants, right? Hosting isn't an acting job. And, we may touch upon that over the course of the conversation, but there's a lot of times when people, they forget that the biggest gift as a host is just being you, right? And if people are watching you, if you're hosting a show, if you're hosting a podcast, it's like, you're at home, right? And you're inviting people into your home. Right. So, if you're like a cool, chill guy when you're doing other stuff, you don't come on here, hey, I'm Abdi, and you know what today we're going to do? It's like, boop.
Yeah.
or, you know, boop, whatever anybody does to shut off a pod,
Right,
they're like,
right,
yo,
right.
because that's not you, right? You're
Right.
not doing an acting job. Part of it is that you're presenting you. You're selling
Right.
you. I've always been me. You guys were all kind enough to say, man, you're just like you are when I see you doing things. It's like, you know, that's as it should be. When you're hosting, it's just, you know, that's your biggest gift, right? You're bringing people in to spend some time with you, whether it's 20 minutes, a half hour, an hour, 3.5 hours, you know, a 12-hour block, whatever it might be. So, you know, that's why when you watch shows, talk shows, any sort of presentation, what you're seeing, hopefully, is that person, especially when they're hosting, right?
Right.
That's why I'll say something, you know, actors who host, they're acting like a host, right?
Right.
That's just my own opinion, but I'm right. A lot of times you get actors that are just, you know, they're like, you know, this is what I saw Letterman do, or this is what I've seen, you know, Seacrest do, or whoever. So they, you know, they just do their acting job.
Yeah.
But then when you meet them, it's just like, they don't know. They're just like, oh, man, right? Whereas, you know, when you're hosting, it's a part of you. So you're a lot more gregarious, a lot more natural. That's what people want to see. That's what people want. That's why you're doing this. You're not pretending to be a host.
Right.
Stop me at any time, Abdi.
No.
I talk quite a bit, so I don't want to.
Listening.
You know, if you're itching, oh man, I got to get out of there. I hop in and stuff, right?
It's all good. Do your thing. But I was gonna say, ironically, one of the hardest things for a lot of people is to be themselves. So, like, what would you advise, like, how to kind of get over that?
Look, it's tricky, right? It's, you know, these days a lot more. You know, there's a lot of times when we always say just be yourself, right? It's probably the first thing you hear when you're a kid. You're in kindergarten. Be yourself.
Right.
When you go through grade, be yourself. When you go through, you know, especially these days now, young people on social media, be yourself. And I think, you know, confidence is everything.
Right.
I haven't been blessed with a whole lot of things. I'm a confident person, so I know what I bring to the table. I know what I don't.
Right.
I know what I have. I know what I'm not. You know, I don't sit and say I'm not Brad Pitt good looking. I'm not Taye Diggs. I'm not in television because I'm, you know, girls don't go, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Like, no. Yeah. You know, I'm confident, a little bit of charisma, sense of humor, nice ass. That's what Joe brings, all right? That's my, so, you know, part of the confidence is knowing what you have and then working with those things, right? So, you know, you don't sit and spend time, you know, acting like you're that, you know, you're all that if you're not all that, right? You know, I'm not going to get followers or have people watch my shows because, you know, of things that I'm not, right?
Okay.
So, and I think for anybody, if what you are trying to bring to the table is you, then yeah, just be yourself. And look, a lot of people, you know, scream, yeah, man, I'm always myself. Yeah, man, look, I'm me and that's it. But then, you know, they have worries about that. Look, it's tough. It's tough sometimes to just, I've met actors and I've been on sets where, you know, I'll tell them, you know, I remember I was hosting a travel show at the time. And I did an episode of the show Zoe Busick Wild Card. And it was Jolie Fisher and it was Chris Potter. And Chris Potter did like Kung Fu Legend Continues. And that he's done a whole bunch of stuff. And so we're on set together and he's asking me, yo, you know, so, you know, what are you doing? You're not doing this. I'm like, you know, I'm a host mainly. So, you know, I'm actually getting ready to leave for a travel show, finding out, you know, young people live different parts of the world. He's like, oh, I couldn't do that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you know, you're here on set memorizing tons of script on a regular basis. And he's like, no, like this for me, hitting marks, saying my lines. That's it. You know, just to kind of go off the cuff and do that, like, no thanks. Like, I'm not interested in that. And that kind of blew my mind because I'm sitting there studying 2 pages of script like it's calculus because, you know, I'm a day player. I'm just there for the day. I don't want to, you know, mess up the flow of the day, right? You go in, you knock your lines out. Then the next people come in, next scene, right? It's like a well-oiled machine. And so I'm studying, not wanting to mess up what they're doing. And he's there saying, yo, I couldn't just be me. And I mean, he couldn't be himself, but he's just so used to, you know, following a script. There's a lot of people that are just like, nope, I don't want to just ask questions, right? I don't want to just, you know, if somebody says something interesting, maybe go down a different path and, you know, and improv or just, you know, go a different route. It's tough for people. So, you know, I think part of being yourself is knowing yourself and knowing what you bring and being realistic about who you are, right? A lot of people will sit there and say they're A, B, C, and D, and they're not, right? you got to be true to yourself before you can be true to other people.
Right.
In everything, at work, in life, in relationships, you got to know you. If you know what you bring and you know who you are, then you can be better to a coworker. You can be better to a fellow actor. You can be better to people on set. You can be better to your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever it may be.
Right.
You got to know you. So I think that's sort of the trick to being yourself. You got to know you first and know what you bring, right? You know, if you know who you are, it's just so much easier to relate and to do things within whatever it is that you want to do. I know me. I know I like to talk. I like being friendly.
Right.
You know, my father taught me to, someone stares at you when you're walking down the street to say hello, right? You know, these Canadians, they'll just sit there and they'll watch you. And they'll watch you walk down the street and they'll just stare at you. You better well say hello. And, but because, some people just be, it's like, look at you, hello. So I learned, hello, hey, how you doing? Then somebody says hi back and, all right. There's a lot of people that just can't say hello to somebody, right? Like they just, or don't want to, or, they just bow up and it's like, man, like you can say hi. Like it's how you look to me. We say hi. Right. It's amazing how that translates into this, hosting shows where it's just like, hello. You're on a regular basis talking to people that you don't know, right?
Right.
That's what hosting is. So you better be if you know you're gregarious or you know that you've got it in you. You know who you are. You can do that, right? If you're an introvert, don't host a podcast.
Right.
Don't host a TV show. It's not you. But you've also got to be honest with yourself and say, yeah, that's not me. I'll work the camera.
Right.
And I remember in school, I thought everybody was going to want to be on camera. When I first started radio and television arts at like the former Ryerson, now Toronto Met. And
what's that school called now? It's not called Ryerson anymore,
No,
right?
Toronto Metropolitan University.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
they changed the name.
They did, yeah.
So I give it a little former than the after.
Yeah.
So I thought everybody was going to be fighting to be on camera. And there was very few people that were like, actually wanted to like, be on camera. A lot of people wanted to direct or produce or lights or camera or sound, right? And good for them. They knew, that's not me, right? So you didn't have like 100 people, hey man, trying to host the show. Maybe there were like 3 or 4 of us that were comfortable doing that or whatever, right? So, you got to know you, right? And I think part of that is just taking the time. It's, I'm not trying to be new age. This is more old school. Take some time and just get to know you.
Right.
People aren't just quiet with themselves anymore. There's a lot of times, if I'm at a doctor's office, I just sit there and wait. If I'm at the, waiting something at my license, sit there and wait. It's alone in my thoughts, right? Like I'm not trying to sound zen, but it's amazing, because these days everyone's on something or you're talking to something. It's so hard for people just to be.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate that, part of me knowing who I am or what I bring, just time with myself, right? Where it's just like, okay, that's fine. And it wasn't, I didn't grow up with phones. I didn't grow up with social media. I didn't grow up with all kinds of, so, I think just by nature, there's a lot of time that I just spent by myself.
Right.
Getting to know me. And as I went through school, paying attention to what teachers said and paying attention to myself. Like, oh, they think I'm good at that, but that might not be my thing. Oh, you know what? They think that, I wouldn't be good at that, but I think I would, right? That's once you know yourself and you can do those things, then you can kind of pursue them and get better at them and stuff, right?
Are you always this energetic?
I don't. Short answer is yes. I don't think of it as energetic. It's just always been me.
Right.
But I've learned that compared to other people.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty. it's pretty energetic. So it's which look, it's again, this has sort of fit me with the career that I've decided to be in and everything. Especially starting out with like with children's and all of that. Having the energy to get through a 60-hour week or a 65-hour week. Like it's funny because I had a lot of coworkers. Oh my gosh, Joe, like you're just wearing us out. But it's like what like. To me, that's also part of being a pro. Like, it's also part of being professional. Like, hey, man, I don't need a coffee to get me started in the morning. Right. Like, I'm asking somebody a question. Don't talk to me until I've had my first coffee. Yeah. Well, I got to wait till 10:30 before I can ask you a question about the show. Right. It's like, no, that's not professional. I'm professional. Don't just, it's just, I'm the pro. I'm the one who's like bringing it and ready to go and stuff. So, yeah, I think I've always been, like this for better or for worse. I mean, I know for
even
some
as
people.
a child?
Yeah, I was when I was a kid, I mean, I think all kids are energetic.
Yeah,
So I think all kids are sort of like, sort of have that,
Right.
that thing going and stuff, right? I think it's just something that I just didn't, I don't know if it's something that you lose, or maybe for some people it just, maybe they just get tired, or maybe some people maybe just gets beaten out of them, right?
I was going to say, yeah, some kids get it beaten out of them and they stop being.
And they just, they lose it, right? Look, I've met people who, they at some point they were energetic or maybe whatever, happy, cheerful, and then just, just the nature of the grind, maybe just wears you down. Sometimes it's other people that might grind that out of you, right? Whether it be like an adult or a teacher or a professor, right? Somebody, and look, I've been in situations where, look, I've had lots of times where I went to, like interviews, if I was like promoting a show or whatever, and, people, hey, Joe, just, let's bring it down. You can just be, regular. Yeah. This is, what do you think? Like, this is me. This isn't a performance, right? And look, that can be tough too, because, there are times when it would be a lot more, look, maybe you don't want to stick out. Maybe the cooler thing would just be, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Okay, but no, that's, hey man, how you doing? Hey, I'm Joe. How are you? Hey, it's good to meet you. How are you doing? Like it's like that's okay, right? It's you don't need to necessarily, or you shouldn't bring down whatever it is that you are, right? Again, that's part of being true to you, right? There's a lot of people, nerd, or hey, that's corny. Hey, that's goofy. It's like, no, it's not. Or maybe it is to you, but I've got enough data. And I'll say data more than once today. I've got enough data now, being 29 years in the industry and being on this earth for decades, that a lot more people like it when you're just you than when you're just trying to, be like somebody else and just trying to change it or whatever, right? And I've been fortunate to have lots of examples where people are like, Joe, thanks for just be you, man. Just be you. Like, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, it's all I can be, right? So, so I've always been like that. Hopefully nothing happens, that ever beats me down, that, I just become, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Yeah. You're right. It's, what happened to Joe? You don't want to be that guy, right? It's like, look, my friends got to depend on me to be me. They're like, oh man, if Joe ever gets down, like, that's it, man. There's no hope for any of us. So like, someone's got to be the beacon. Someone's got to get us through, right? Someone's got to be the light. Black light, Joseph Motiki, that's what's up. So always been like this, but just I guess maybe also just always been brave enough to be like this, right? Like just be you no matter what, right? No matter who snickers, no matter who has something to say, however you act, right? It's like it's not. There's some things you just have to wipe your ass with. People might want to take something from you. Or maybe they're jealous that you can't be the way that you are, right? Or do the things you do. And we've all got lots of friends or know lots of people that, stop doing something because some people's like, really? You're doing that? I know people that left like great jobs, like that left like, I know somebody who left a high profile job here in Canada because, an artist was like, hey, what are you doing that for? Like really? Like, like you'd be way better served if like you were doing this. And you know what? Like, you got to look out. You got to represent. You got to do this. And it's just like, and left that job and like, was in the wilderness for a while. Has since, come back and done stuff. But, I'm like, a friend of mine was saying, yeah, she stopped doing it and everything. I'm like, because this guy said to. And I'm like, really? I'm like, yo, look, in this industry, especially here in Canada, these jobs are few and far between, right? It is you get one, you keep it. You don't go, somebody tells you, oh, you should be doing something else. No. So she went out of her zone. She went out of who she was. It's like, look, do you like it? You like what you do? Then you're good, right? You got to be happy with it and stuff. Don't start. There's always this, right? And you'll find it, Abdi. You guys will find there's a lot of people chirp, beep, beep, burp, 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 burp. And it's like, well, you need to. You got to you got to get rid of them, right? You got to get rid of them and chase what you want to chase and do what you want to do. Because, a lot of those people, they don't want you to do it because they can't do it or they're not bold enough to do it, brave enough to do it, have the guts to do it, take the risk to do it, right? This is an industry that's all risks. It's tough to go to auditions. It's tough to put yourself in front of other people. I don't find it necessarily tough, but it is grueling, right? There's a lot of people that say they want to be performers or they want to work in television or they want to work in, guess what? An audition, you go in and not only, if you don't get the gig, and most of the time you don't, it is tough to be told, we like somebody better than you. And that's literally what they're saying. We like somebody better than you. There's people who don't like hearing that in school. You don't like hearing that? Right. You know, oh, I'm going to date Sarah. Sarah, oh my gosh, why Sarah? I have so much more and I can't even. Right, you know, they'll sit there and say, you know, she might say, oh, I don't care what people say. Yeah, you do, because, you know, he's dating Sarah and now you're, This is an industry where not only are you told that we like somebody better than you, in a couple of weeks, you'll see exactly who it is. Right. Because they'll be in the TV show, or they'll get the part, or they'll be in the commercial. So you're going to see it and you're going to be like, what? That dude?
Right.
So you better know who you are, and you better be tough, and you better be cut out for it and stuff, because it can be tricky when you see other people, and you know, and other people. You got to stay true to your gifts, right? And just know that, hey, I'm in it. So eventually, I'll be all right, and I'll get the job, or I'll get the project that I want. And these guys, you shouldn't have done it, man. You shouldn't have done it. Look, that guy got it and stuff. You just got to know that your abilities are your abilities, and that you've got what it takes to do something. Right. I'm on a tangent. I feel like I'm meandering.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
No. I always just wonder if I'm even back to the original. I always try to bring it back, but just so you know. So just you got to know you. Know you, believe in you, and not just like the cool Instagram post where know you or whatever. Just be about it, right? Like that's just do the thing. People talk all the time. Yeah, man. No. Don't talk. A lot of times when they're talking, it's like they're trying to convince themselves, right? I don't talk out loud to convince myself. I've already got it. I just go and I do things.
Right.
I don't sit there and say, ABC, there's my resume. Booked it. Went out for that. Tried that.
Right.
Failed in that, but gave it a shot. Tried to do this. Tried to help that person. Tried to do that. That's where your record is. That's where the real stuff is. Right.
I actually think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I actually think that part of that too comes from as early as childhood. Like when you're growing up, you go to school, you do tests, and teachers only care about the result rather than like how to get you to where you need to be.
That's interesting.
In what you're saying, right? So because like kids, I failed the test. Like, I studied and I failed. I'm a loser. I can't do anything. Right. They get discouraged right out the gate. Versus getting out the mud, like you're talking about, getting out the mud. You fail here, you're gonna make it here. We don't learn that as kids. I never learned it. I'm sure these guys probably never learned growing up.
Right.
It's always, you failed. You scored a 60. You scored a 70. This guy scored an 80. You should be like him or her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look, the world is results based, so it can be tricky. We went to school. Look, I'm probably 20 years older than all of you guys.
Where did you grow up? Like,
I'm East York. So I grew up in East York. So. Woodbine and Danforth, right? If you know the city, so that neck of the woods, right? So I'm like 5 minutes from every place I've lived in since I was a kid. Right. So I went to Parkside Public School, just over at Woodbine and O'Connor, just there by Stan Wadlow Park. The Kiwanis is there, the swimming pool. So that's where I went. That was the hub of my existence and everything, right? Went to Cosburn for middle school, which is just like, a few minutes up the way. Originally, I was supposed to go to D.A. Morrison. So if you're a Toronto head and you know these places, all right. I was supposed to go to D.A. Morrison, but the full-time gifted program was at Cosburn. So they ended up saying, okay, Joe, I was in the part-time gifted program. You go once a week but they said, no, he's going to go full-time. So went to Cosburn for a couple of years, and then East York Collegiate.
East York Collegiate.
Coxwell and Cosburn, right? So went there for high school. So that was so I've always been an East York guy. So, look, Parkside was and look, I'm going to be biased because, of course, these are my spots, but Parkside was special, right? It was a special place to go to school. It's a small school, maybe 300 students, 350. I mean, I know it was tiny. I know that there weren't that many of us, but my parents would always talk about, how good the teachers were there and, and how much time they put into things. And now look, that's me, this is the 70s now starting to come up and stuff, right? So, so things might feel a little bit different because a lot of the stuff was how you got there, right? Show your work. You couldn't just put the answer. I don't know if it's still like that for you guys at school, but you had to show your work, right? Yeah. How did you get the answer 6? Well, this and the 12 came over here and this, that. Yeah. So I think back then we were fortunate there was a lot as far as the process, right? And about making sure that, how did you get there and how did you go around and stuff. As you get older, people start to care less and less, right? Because hopefully you know how to get there by then. That said, there's times when you got the work wrong, right? And so, it's not only bad you got the answer, none of it is right. And it can be, to what you're talking about, demoralizing, right? Especially when you're young. Inner strength, look, I don't know where it comes from because everybody's different, right? I'm lucky, I guess, because I've just, whatever my motor is my motor. So now I was always good in school. I always got good marks and stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't like there's times I'm like, oh man, like, what am I going to do here? But, but there were times when, depending on the class, you struggle. I got a 52. When do I get a 52?
Right.
And you got to figure out a way out of it and stuff, right? And, you can't show a 52 to your mom and dad. Dad wasn't having that. Oh, right. 52. I got a 38 once. I remember grade 9. I'm like, what? You got to, I don't know. Like, I was like, well, you better bloody well figure it out. You better know.
Especially African parents.
Yeah, right.
They want the result, not how you got it. But
yeah, right. Like they're very results oriented. They're not sitting there talking about the process.
Yeah.
What's your process? It's just like, because they know that, look, I don't know who's going to be asking you out there about your process. Either you're going to have a job or you won't.
Right.
You're going to succeed or you won't. Right. And look, it's, to them, stuff is binary. It's 1 or 0. Yeah. So you better figure this stuff out. But, there's nothing to be said about that as well. I mean, look, we live in a time where, I grew up playing sports, and I was very lucky to, played a lot of soccer growing up. My dad used to play semi-pro in South Africa.
Oh, so, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I played.
Are you South African?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My folks are from, my dad is from Cape Town, and my mom is from the Transkei, from a little town called Umtata. In South Africa, and then they came. They emigrated to Canada in '69. So so my folks are South African.
Which one of them would you give credit for you, like how you come across?
It's both. I mean, I'm both of their children, right? My mom was very, very sweet. So her, so whatever my kindness, my drive,
right.
That comes from mom. My dad was a discipline and the be tough, right? I say it in a good way. I know sometimes now, that's toxic masculinity. It's like, no, it's just, I think there's a time when maybe tough maybe became a bad word, right? Tough just means, hey man, it's strength, and it's, finding the power within yourself to get things done, right? I know it can be twisted, and a lot of times that it is, but when we were growing up, like, part of of the strength was, hey, you know what, like, you need to get there, and it might be a winding route to get there. You might have to blast through a wall to get there, but you're gonna get there,
right?
And my buddies and I, it's like, all right, man, like, let's get there, and you're not always gonna be helped out, you're not always gonna be assisted. Certainly, look, we were all, a lot of immigrant kids at Parkside, right? Like, it was, it's, lots of kids of color. It's, you better figure it out, right? Like, it's not going to be easy. That was always the lesson. Nothing's going to be easy. So I think that I dealt with adversity a lot better than a lot of people, because that was what was instilled in me, right? It's like this. There's no freebies, right? Now look, as a black kid, you got to do it 10 times better than any of the white kids, right? 20 times better. If you're going to get the job, you just got to be on point. So, so those lessons, I'm not saying it made things easy for me, but, when I go out and I do things, I understand. All right, man, like, it's going to be tough. Look, even at school, right? I never skip classes. And again, the voice, yo, man, just skip. Yo, man, what are you going to go to class for? Yeah, what are you going to do this? It's like, yo, my parents left everything. They wanted to raise a family. And they didn't want to raise a family under apartheid rule in South Africa, right? They wanted their kids to be able to do whatever it is they wanted to do. So they left everything that they knew, came to this cold country, which I can't imagine what it's like. I got friends that don't want to, they don't want to go to Edmonton. Oh, I don't know what it's like over there. They left an entire country, went over another ocean, went to a place where they didn't know anything, didn't know anybody, and because they wanted me to be able to do stuff.
Right.
So the least I can is do stuff, right? Yeah. But I'm going to skip class? Like, no. So I went and nose to the grindstone, did my stuff. They made that sacrifice, so I can go to fourth period.
Right.
I'm not gonna skip calculus. Like, it's just, let's go, right? Let's go get the skills. And look, that was the thing about. I remember somebody telling me, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, like, look, work hard. You work hard now. You don't have to work hard the rest of your life, right? Bust ass in school. Do what you need to do. Do it now, right? Now, when you're never gonna have more energy now when you're young. Right. Do all of this stuff now, and everything's gonna be, so much easier moving forward. And that was the thing, just worked hard at school, got my stuff done, and look, I've been fortunate enough to to get a job and to have a career that I love, right? So sorry I didn't skip second period history,
right.
But I'm still giddy about not having homework. Like, still,
right, yeah.
There's times I'm watching a football game on a Sunday and I'm like, oh man, there's no school tomorrow.
Right.
No school on Monday. I can stay up all night. Like, it's weird as I grow up, but it's just like, yeah, man. Like, I remember what it was like when you had a science project or you had like essays and all of that stuff. It's like, I left it there, right? It's done. I admire people that can go back to school. Like, that's very admirable. I'm pretty much locked into this. This is pretty much what I'm doing. I'm not going back to school.
Right.
Figure out how to. I'd be like, oh, school homework. No thanks, man. I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna ride this TV thing out.
Right.
See how it goes. See, get another 29 years out of it. So my folks, it was just like, just go get it, right? So you get it.
Right. And sorry, I know you harped on it just a little bit.
Harped is the right word. I'm doing a lot of harping.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pontificating. I don't mean to pontificate. This is like a lot of, furthermore, you got to make sure that you... I try not to. So I keep going, bro.
But as a black person, did you ever experience any type of racism in the television industry?
Yeah. Can
you share with me like anything maybe
you find stuff out sort of behind the scenes. I'm lucky that I have a good relationship with people. So there's times when like you might find out that, you didn't get a show because, right? Or like, oh man, your audition was great. It went really, really well. But, this isn't what we're quite looking for this. I had a buddy who worked on the very, very first show that I did. And then I had auditioned for a show. It was like, I think it was like supposed to be for like video games, and this is the early 2000s or whatever, right? And I went in, auditioned, and my buddy was working on the show. And then, so he didn't have to, again, I've told you, you audition, you do your best, you don't get it. That's just part of the industry, right? So he didn't have to, butter me up and be like, why you didn't get it? But he said, he's in the room, and, they said, like, look, to them, it's like a video game show, and, look, there's an affect sometimes that people, like I know, hey, dude, what's going on? Welcome. We're going to go down to the hot face and we're going to knock this off. Like, yeah, they want a white guy, right? Like, that's what they're picturing. They're picturing, and look, if they can get what they want, right? That's what they're picturing, right? My job is to go in there and be the best host that I can be. Hey, I'm Joseph Motiki. Welcome to Game World. Listen, we have got a great show coming up for you. We're going to be looking at some of the new games coming up from Nintendo. Sega's got a new console. We're going to check it out. I just do my thing, right? I don't put on a performance.
Right.
I could, hey, dude, what's going on, man? But that wouldn't be me, right?
Was the show called Video and Arcade Top 10?
No, that was entirely different. I know the show you're talking about.
Yeah. That was like late 90s or something.
That was early. Was that Nicholas Pickles?
There you go.
I'm thinking about?
That's
okay.
That's the dude.
So I did some shows in that studio for when Maple Leaf... when the Maple Leafs got their own digital channel, I was doing a show there, and that was the same place where they did Video and Arcade Top 10. Yeah. So I remember people talking about Nicholas Pickles. So I remember it was in that same place. It was a place out in Mississauga where they produced that and where they shot it. So we were using the same studio. It was the same crew that did Video and Arcade Top 10. So no, it wasn't that. Okay. I don't know if that show, I don't know if it made it to air. Because, I was looking for it. Right. I wanted to see, like, okay, well, let me see who this guy is and stuff, right? And, but I don't know if it made it to air. If it was on, it wasn't on long. My buddy moved, like, he started doing another show, so he wasn't even on that show for very long. Right. But yeah, I mean, look, there's always going to be things that you don't know about. Janet Thompson was my first producer. She did a late night show, that I did at TVO. Yeah. That was when I went out for the cattle call for. And she said to me, look, Joe, everything's political. There are going to be things that happen, decisions that are made that you don't know about, that are just above your pay grade, right? And have got nothing to do with you and your performance and what you're bringing to the table. There are just people up here that are just making decisions based on other stuff. So the sooner that you can accept that everything's political, that there's always going to be things that are just out of your control that have nothing to do with what it should be, you're going to do better in this industry.
Right.
And probably in life, right? There are always things happening that just have nothing to do with you. And it's, that are out of your control. And color is out of my control, right? If decisions are being made, it sucks. It's wrong. But, when he told me that, I wasn't like, well, I'm out. Let me go do something else. It's like, well, no, all right, then that's part of the politics and that's part of the thing. So, do I let that get me down, or do I on to the next one, the next one? You go on to the next one, and you put your nose down, you figure it out, and you get stuff done, right? Because I'm not doing anybody, and this is something I've learned as I've gotten older. I'm not, because of course now everybody's about, about inclusivity and representation, and before those were all the catchwords. Not that they're catchwords, but before everybody was like, talking about that. That's what I was doing, even with TVO kids, right? And look, I was probably the first. There weren't a whole lot of black dudes doing children's television back then. I don't think. I mean, I have to go back and
might have been
check.
You and the guy from Reading Rainbow. I forgot his name.
Yeah, LeVar Burton, right? Okay, right. Yeah, LeVar Burton, Jordan LaForge, Star Trek, Kunta Kinte, Roots. So oh yes, it's LeVar Burton and Joe. Like that's the so so there's not many. So it's important. It's always been important then that that I'm on television, that I'm doing things, that I'm working projects so that people can see. Right. And I've been really fortunate. One of the things that's been great about social media has just been that people drop me notes and just say, hey, man, I grew up watching you, or you're the reason why I decided to get into this. You're the reason that I thought I could do it. You're the reason that I thought that maybe there was a chance. You're a runt. I'm way better looking than you. So for sure, if you can do it, I can do it. Right. I never got that last message. Yeah. But those are the things, right? It's like, they know that they can do it. And, and again, I've always been driven. So, I'm just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. I didn't always have a full appreciation that it was important for people to have an example. And I'm veering from the word role model because but at least just to have an example that, man, he's doing it, I can do it. He looks like me, I'll be able to do it as well. It's and so I've been really fortunate just on platforms, over 10, 12 years, like just ever since I really put stuff up, right? I mean, I always, had an email address connected to my website, so people always get in touch. But, it's just easier now where people can just, oh, man, I just wanted to say I'm working now. And I love that. So yeah, there's, everything's political. I think there's always going to be, and these days, things have really opened up in terms of color and minorities, and just seeing like a lot more people and everything, right? I mean, I think that changed. Like George Floyd sort of changed the game. That's when you really notice. You'll notice now where you just, we see so many mixed couples in commercials, and that all changed then. I think that, people really sort of stopped and went, okay, there has to be a reset. There has to be we need to get everybody going and stuff, right? But this, we need to see more people that look like everybody on television, right? There has to be more inclusion. And that all started, look, it hit people a little different. It was funny because there had always been, situations, just of, police killing a black, that was the first time look, it happened during the pandemic, right? So say through an American lens, because here in Canada, so much of what happens, you see in the States, right, happens. You see it, it affects what happens up here. And during the pandemic, when that happened to George Floyd, it was during the pandemic. People were at home, right? You remember, people were at home. They weren't at their jobs. So everybody, it wasn't just black people that were out protesting. There was white people, Asians. Everybody was out because that was the first time everyone was it wasn't just water cooler talk. Everyone was at home. So everybody watched it. Mm-hmm. And then everybody decides to protest together. Everybody is feeling the same way. It was the first time that people were, sort of worried about whether or not how they were going to pay their bills or how their rent was going to get paid. So you can make the argument that that was the first time that white people in the United States felt like black people in the United States.
Right.
The first time they were worried, going, what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Now everyone's feeling that way because of the pandemic. It's like, are we going to go back to work, or are we going to work? Like, what's going to happen? So it was interesting. I had friends that, reacted differently to George Floyd than they had. Not that they weren't, sensitive to the situation, but I remember I had put something, flip on my Instagram because I'm, when that had happened, I think it was, it was Chris Rock, how to avoid getting beat up by the police.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, he's got that. So I went, I'm just like, oh man, I love that thing. It's hilarious. I remember posting that. And I had a friend, Joe, this isn't a laughing matter. And this isn't, the thing. I'm just like, it's never a laughing matter. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's another day. Like, all right, it happened again. It had happened a few years before with Eric Garner. Remember, he got choked.
Yeah. You're right.
The exact thing. Choked by the cops. Mm-hmm. She didn't say anything. I don't remember anybody saying anything. Right. I cracked jokes about it because all right, another day. But the timing, because now this hit and she's at home and all of a sudden everyone was just like, I had never experienced anything like it was, friends apologizing for racism. I'm not trying to make jokes. I'm glad people are apologizing for it, but I was like, what? How?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've gotten it before. I was like, yo, what? Why?
Right. Now, because it was just hitting everybody different. Yeah. All of these things existed over decades. Nobody ever, Joe, I'm just really sorry about what you've had to see and what you're going through. Okay. What? What? It's crazy. I'm just like, all right, man. So, but it is a great thing because then everybody was sort of in the same pot. Everybody was sort of getting it. And it changed the game, and it changed the way that people sort of view things and stuff.
I remember when the blackout squares, like everyone was posting those squares, right, on their Instagram. I had friends comment saying, "Why aren't you posting it? What's wrong with you?"
Oh, yeah.
It was on my Instagram. So my Instagram is just for memes for the boys and my wife, and that's it.
Well, even the fact that you got to explain it.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, man, where were you 3 years ago when that guy didn't serve me? Remember we went to the restaurant? That guy agreed to spit in my food? Where were you then? Where were you with it? Where's my black square? Yeah. Where's my brown square? Where's my, now it's it is great that there was a tipping point and there's a time when everybody gets it, but it is also funny when then people start preaching to you, and they're just like, hey, what are you doing about it? It's like, I've been about it for decades. Yeah. I'm the guy that gets spit on. I'm the guy that had something. This doesn't smell right. What's this in my sandwich? Whatever it is. It's like, I've been living that forever. Now all of a sudden, because, 2020, rocked you. Now you and then you're going to tell me stuff. I'm like, look, I had friends who would have people say, you're not using your position on Instagram, and you should post these things and stuff, right? And it's like, and look, like white friends, right? And it's happened. And I'm like, look, you're a good person. Again, when I'm talking about the noise, right? Yeah. You're a good person. You know what you do. You know how you've handled things and stuff, right? Don't worry about people that now all of a sudden get it, but now they think the only way to show you've been, you've given to charities and you've represented your whole life. You can't worry about it. Your life isn't always, that's the thing about Instagram. I mean, it's Instagram. It's, it's a highlight reel, right? People's lives look great and they're sad and lonely, right? Of course they're all they show is the pictures from the vacations. Oh, they got a great life. No, that was their best day this year. Yeah, right. That's why all they're doing is posting their best day this year. Right. You don't see them crying, oh, am I going to pay this bill? No one posts that, nor should they. That'd be depressing as hell. Nobody wants to see that. Right. So same thing with all that. Look, there's things that, I use. Look, I'm only on social media. My agent wanted to be on social media, said, okay, have this stuff. I'm like, all right, fine. I'd be off the grid, right? My friends, they see me on a regular basis. They know who I am. They know what I do. I go hey, what's up? You knock on doors, go visit people and everything, right? That's my Instagram. My Instagram is going and seeing people and going to parties and going to dances and hitting clubs and going out and doing stuff, all right? And not taking pictures of it. I don't need to document it. It's all right there.
Right.
It's right there. It's right there. All them good times, man. It's right there. That's the stuff. You know, that's what you do. So when people, it's just, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's like, this is not your life. This is just small things in your life. So, I mean, yes, if it moves people by, you know, by showing respect or whatever, that's fine. But I'll bet there's a lot of people that posted, you know, the blackout photo or whatever that didn't do good things in real life in real time, right? So that's the hall pass, like, you know, no, I'm very about this, and it's like, well, then you should have went on a date with that black dude that you really thought was cute, but maybe you said no to, or maybe you should have taken that Asian girl out, but you know, your dad was, so you didn't. Like, there's a lot of things where it's like, you know, like, again, be about it. Just be about it. I'm not, again, I know people, you know, that they want to show and respect, but man, when somebody starts busting you about, like, you know, you're not, how dare you? It's like, how dare you? How dare me? What do you, how dare you, sir? Like, just come on, man. It's not the be all and end all. You gotta, so. Yeah.
I actually got a message. Sorry to interrupt. I got a message one time from one person. I won't say their name. They're like, Abdi, I'm sorry. I know what you're dealing with. And this is like the height of African Americans getting killed by cops.
Right.
And I was just like, what? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm alive.
I'm healthy.
Yeah.
We're not Americans.
Right? Like, look, there's stuff that
was so awkward. I'm like, why are you saying this to me? This is so weird. Yeah.
You should have asked for $100. You should have been like, hey, man, you know what?
Here's a GoFundMe.
Yeah, if you want to help me, here we go.
Comments.
That's right. Just, you know, hook up Abdi. I've been feeling really sad about what's been happening. $10,000 goal.
Just listening to you talk about it, I'm just like, like these. A lot of people are clueless. They're, like you said, they're not about it. It's like, that was probably one of the most awkward things I've ever had to like read.
It's got to be
very.
Me,
it's like, hey, I'm really sorry, bro. Like, I know what you're dealing with. What do you mean you know what I'm dealing with?
Yeah, out of curiosity.
Oh, you're talking about George Floyd? It has something to do with me, like,
right? Yeah. Was that something was this a person that you talked to regularly, or was it somebody who just like hadn't talked to you in 8 months?
They're not someone that they're like my homie or whatever. Just someone I used to work with, right? It's like,
oh, okay, right?
Really, like I'm like most people today just go, well, happy birthday. Right?
Yeah,
the little classic face. It's that relationship.
Right.
The 1 year happy birthday thing.
Well, look, I'll say this. It would even be better if it was a real happy birthday because they remembered, right?
Not because exactly.
Or Facebook told them, oh, it's his birthday. Hey, man, happy birthday, or whatever. It's just like, which again, look, it's.
Hey, I'm guilty of that too. There's a lot of birthdays I don't remember off the top of my head.
Look, it's not so much
Facebook
guilt.
does help me. Oh, is this guy's birthday?
No, it's a helpful look. You're from that time where that's probably how you guys all know birthdays because people put it in the. I'm from a time where you had to remember it, right? You know, there was no social media in the 80s or 90s to help you out with things. So I took a lot of pride in the fact that, I remembered my friends' birthdays. Just an example, because birthdays is always it's an interesting thing where people say, you know, that they don't care that somebody remembers their birthday, but then what's the first thing they say about somebody when they're about to not be friends with them anymore? You know that guy that forgot my birthday? He forgot my birthday. It's always the birthday.
That's true.
So, you know, a birthday is a very good, so I was always good at like remembering people's birthdays. And, you know, I got a friend and she would always, you know, she would say like, you know, oh, I guess your phone just went off. It's like, no, I love you. You're my friend. I think you're great. I remembered your birthday because it's in my head. All right. Not because don't try to soften it like I didn't remember or that, of course I remember. Don't say it's because my phone went off or whatever. Right. I've got the crappiest phones, Abdi. I've always had the oldest phones. I don't care about look, here's my phone. It's an S5 Neo. All right, which this is probably like a rotary phone to a lot of you watching and stuff. What do I care? It's here, right? This is what I remember. I got a date book. That's how I know how to. Oh, all right, 11 a.m. Abdi podcast. All right, that's how I remember and stuff, right? Look, people, they're not present anymore. People aren't present, right? It's the ding, 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 and that's how they remember. And it's not I understand it for you. You're of that age. You don't know a time that you didn't have a phone, right? There's never been a time when you didn't have that. I'm hard on my friends because we did have a time when we didn't have these things. So how did we hook up? We made a plan 2 weeks ago. All right, we're going to meet at Young Station, and then we'll take the subway down to Dundas, and then we're gonna go hit Go-Go's, and then we're gonna. That's how you did it.
I actually didn't get my first cell phone until I was 19.
Oh,
so
okay.
There was a time, like you said.
All right.
Where are we meeting? What time and so forth, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's how you did it. Right. So it can be crazy when when people get wrapped up in in this. Again, if that's your birthday thing and that's how everybody does it, that's fine. But I'm from a time when we just had to know, and I know. So it's weird when now say my contemporaries don't know unless bing. Right. It's like, really.
Right. I guess we're too connected in, Do
you think that plays into kids' confidence, right? Like when I was a kid growing up, if you needed to make plans with somebody, you call Mrs. Johnson. Hey, Mrs. Johnson, how are you? How's the husband? Blah blah blah. Can Billy come out and play? You had to physically talk to somebody. Now it's like, let me send you a text, and then that, I guess, face-to-face interaction is no longer there, right? So, would that play a big role into that? Would you say?
Look, confidence. Look, socializing, right? Talking to somebody, looking somebody in the eyes, right? Body language. Those are lost. And again, this is just me as an older guy talking, right? People might not agree, but those are skills, right? Those are abilities. I got a lot of friends. I've been to a lot of weddings. I've been a date to a lot of weddings just because I can hold my own in a social situation. I'll take Joe. He can talk to people, and I can leave him, and he'll be okay. He won't be sitting there rocking back and forth. And so a lot of meals. I've had a lot of chicken dinners and surf and turf and lots of tiramisu because, I can go to those things. I think, but it's hard for a lot of people because they haven't been socialized. They haven't had to. That was one of my dad's tests, right? That's how we'd end up liking a friend. If, hello, Mr. Motiki, this is Norman. May I please talk to Joseph? Yes, you can, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, hello, is Joe there? Bloop. Where are your manners, right?
Yeah.
That's how, so those are the things. Even, talking to adults as a kid, my buddy Brent, his dad, he had a birthday party. He took a whole bunch of us to the Blue Jays game. And when I got there, and his dad was a big dude, right? He's like 6'4", and he's big, and, I'm super tiny, so he probably looks 8 feet tall. And, I said, hi, Mr. Taylor, how are you? Oh, I'm good. All right. We'll see you later, right? And I went inside. And apparently his dad always liked me because I was the only kid that actually greeted him at the door. I was the only kid that said, hello, Mr. Taylor, how are you doing, right? The only one. Those are socializing, right? And then, okay, I had the confidence to go up and talk to a big dude, right? And I was like, hi, how you doing? It's, there are no small things, right? There are no small lessons. There are no small skills. Everything is a test. Everything is your abilities. Everything is coming up. If somebody shies away from that, maybe they keep on shying away from it. Oh, okay, now you can just text somebody. Now I never have to talk to anybody. So you haven't, it's like working out. Right? Socializing, your social skills, that's a muscle too. And if you're not using that muscle, if you're not lifting, you're making no gains. So now socially, you might be inept. Maybe you don't have the abilities to ask somebody out on a date. There's a lot of people that don't know how to act right. They don't know how to sit there. It's beep, beep, boop, 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 beep. And it's like, man, you don't have confidence. Mm-hmm. You're not building up your social skills. You're not getting better. And those are things that never goes out of style. You always have to have it. Confidence is appealing. Confidence is sexy. Everyone's drawn to confidence. There isn't a person who doesn't like that person who will come up and say hello or who will, hey, do you need help with that or whatever it might be, right? Wallflower, that's a guess. That person who just, who knows who that guy is, right? You don't know who that person, you don't know. But confidence, that's what everybody's drawn to it. Even if they don't sit there all day and go, of course they are. They're drawn to that and stuff, right? Cocky, nobody likes. Douchebag, nobody likes. But confidence, 100%. My buddy Stag, we're in our late 20s at that time. And everyone's in the backyard. My buddy's father-in-law is at the barbecue and he's making food and stuff, right? All the guys sitting there drinking, I went up. Hey, Mr. Calfano, how you doing? I'm Joe. Thanks so much for having us over and everything. And, it's really, right? 20 minutes later, hey, boy, hey, to me. Come over, get my burger, all hooked up and everything like that. I'm the first one. Afterwards, my buddy's like, yeah, you're the only guy that went over and said hi to him. You're the only guy, and all my friends that went over and said, hey, man, thanks for having us over and stuff, right? So Joe got fed first. Yeah. That's what happens. The rest of you mofos, you guys can figure it out on your own and everything like that, right? It's just, I mean, look, that's manners. That's upbringing. That's how you're raised and everything. But it's also just, that's the same lesson even 20 years later, right? Yeah. Good things came to me because I went up and said hello. Because I went up and, and just said, I know, people, and look, I know these, because now a lot of people are, have identified that they're introverts and that, and that's not their thing. And, and that can be hard and everything, right? Pandemic didn't help. It was tough on people. If you're an introvert, that was Christmas. Right. They're just like, all right, man, I have to talk to anybody for 3 years. Yeah. This is amazing, right? But it's like, all right, but it's a good skill to still just to go out and just to, just to socialize and to, it's a muscle like everything else. Right. And it comes in handy, certainly in this job, but I think in a lot of jobs and in a lot of situations, right? It's and in a lot of the things that you may want. Right. A lot of times when people talk about the things they want, at some point you're going to be told, well, then you got to go get it. And if you can go to somebody, you can look them in the eye. I've been out, people, you're really intense. I'm like, intense? Because I'm used to, friendly or intense. I'm like, you look people right in the eye when you talk, and I'm just like, and I realized, well, yeah, because they're used to, this is talking. I got friends now. Oh my gosh, I talked with such as for 3 hours yesterday. And I always picture them talking, but they weren't talking. They were this, which to me isn't talking. That's setting up a talk. That should just be setting up a real talk and stuff like that, right? So, it's an ability that everybody can develop. I just think you just have to, just get out of your zone a little bit and just, and get it. You have to be like, I know I'm the other side of the spectrum, but, just go out and, hey, how's it going? Somebody you don't know. Again, I've said hi to strangers on the street because my father said that was polite or that's what you should do. Right. So maybe that's where it started for me, right? I can go up to anybody. Hey, what's up? In social situations, in romantic situations, that helps, right? And I know what to say, or I can, not because I'm a Lothario, or just go up and say hello. How you doing? People say, oh, what's the best pickup line? Hi, my name is Joe. That's the best. That's the only pickup line. What do you get? This isn't, cartoons or ridiculous shows. I feel like we're going way off subject.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I realize we're about like an hour into this. I didn't even ask any of your career questions.
That's all easy to find.
Okay, I'll start this out. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what you think you would have done? You know what?
Look, I'd originally thought about law. That was, I beat that around and stuff. So I thought, look, I can talk. Lawyers have to be able to talk or whatever. Right. Like, I could do that. And then, look, I figured, okay, whatever I'm going to do, I got to do for the next 30 or 40 years of my life. So it better be something that I really enjoy. I figured law is just that just seemed arduous, right? You see lawyer shows, they're always climbing up a ladder to find a statute. And it's just like, looking at encyclopedias. So I got into television, just the joy of it and stuff. So maybe law. People have said I'd have been a good teacher.
I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say that. Yeah,
so that could have been. But I always remember my high school phys ed teacher, my coach, Mr. Riley. He's like, Motiki, you're too short to be a teacher. The kids aren't going to respect you. You're just too short. I'm like, really? Like, they go, look, guys, I really want you to, buckle down and get that test. Like, who knows? But, but teaching is entirely possible. It's funny. It's something that I haven't thought so much or maybe ever, just because, I was fortunate enough to be doing this while I was in school. When I did the late night phone-in show, I did the first season of it during my final year of school. So I was literally like, on a Tuesday, I was in school 9 to 5, get up to TVO at 6, go over notes. We do a rehearsal at 10 o'clock and then do the show live at 11. So I was literally doing things at night that I was learning to do during the day at school. Right. So I've been very fortunate that I've sort of always been in it. So, there's never been a time where I'm like, like what would I do? So, like maybe those things, but I've never, once I was on this path, like I've never sort of thought, like what else I might do. I would have loved to have played soccer professionally. When I see like sort of like these days now, even just with MLS, I mean, just playing here and knowing that there was some like just another level to go to, right? That would have been amazing. That would have been a lot of fun. I would have loved to, I picked like a Division III or played professional soccer in Guam or whatever it might have been, right? So, so that would have been really, really cool. I would have loved that.
Right.
But, for me, those are all sort of, stuff I've never really thought about. I'm really fortunate, Abdi. I don't want to sound overly...
No, it's all good.
But, this is my dream job. This is what I always wanted to do. This is my career. I never, I never waited tables or, tended bar or sort of did other things while I was doing this or seeing if this was going to pan out. This has always just been what I'm doing and stuff, right? And just, this is it. If I'm not doing this, I'm not doing anything. So, I've been fortunate for the 29 years to, to always be busy, to always be booking things, so, bills have been paid, mortgages have been paid, which is great. So, but those are the things. If I hadn't have done this, then, maybe stuff, maybe teaching, maybe law, if I could get stilts, I could have been a teacher. I could have been. So maybe that's
okay.
What I would have
That's
done.
awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. Why did I find out like 2 days ago that you were the voice of Metabee?
Because
I grew up loving what was it called that show called?
Medabots.
Medabots.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Metabee.
No way.
Yeah, he's Metabee. Yeah.
Right? Because he only started doing the research a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
He only just like,
I love
Icky,
that show.
Icky, we got a road battle. Come on, let's get that guy. That was it. So that was one of the first gigs that I had. So I retired from TVO Kids in '99. So in '99, Gretzky retired, Jordan retired, Elway retired. So I figured kids would understand, nothing bad is happening to me. I'm just moving on to another thing. And then I started to freelance. So here in Canada, your agent, they send you out to everything, right? So that's how I started getting into animation. I did a show Crashbox, which was this animated character on HBO. Then I did Rescue Heroes. I was Rocky Canyon on that show. He's like the mountain climber. Billy, it's an avalanche. We got to get out of here. Did that. And then the first show I dubbed was Medabots, because of course I was already done in Japan, so now they got to do it here. So went in, auditioned, got it. So we just did the dubbing right on, there used to be a studio on Richmond, downtown.
Okay.
Did it right there. So, so Metabee was the best because, look, it's in dubbing, you've got to say your lines and they've got to match what the character's doing. So you got to make sure when you talk, you're hitting those marks. And if you don't, you got to do it again. Metabee is a robot, no mouth. I was in and out of there 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just go in. Icky, what is it? All right, man, come on, we got to go. Metaphors! All right, that's it, I'm out. See ya. And then I'm out. I just do my thing. Everybody else, it was great because, everybody else has to match I don't have to match the mouth, man. I'm the robot. I'm Metabee, that's it. So, but Metabee Medabots is still probably one of the most enduring. Like, people who love Medabots. I don't think it never hit like, Pokemon heights or like Bakugan heights, or Beyblade heights, but those fans are loyal. I've only done a couple of cons. I did a Unplugged Expo a few years ago, and it's crazy how many kids love that show. And how many people watched it and loved it. And so Metabee to this day is probably still one of my like top 5 all-time characters. He was the best.
Legend.
So yeah, Metabee he's the dude, man. That guy's a dude. That guy he's my dude. He's a good dude.
You were, your co-host was Patty Sullivan on Crawl Space. What's your relationship with her today?
I see her like, if there's like, say like, what do you call them? Like if all the hosts get together or whatever, then from time to time. She's married. She's got a family. So, she's busy doing her thing. I see Giselle from the Big Backyard. I'll see her. Yeah, that's right. I see. That's right. So Giselle had got to TVO in '98 when they started doing the preschool block. So helped get her.
I was born in 94, so I was like,
all right.
kind of happens right.
Right, that's right in your wheelhouse and stuff. Yeah. So, so I helped get her ready to be on air. Check out her TikTok. Her TikTok is blowing up. You can see her. She puts a lot of like old clips and stuff on there. So, if you want to like relive a little bit like that, like go find Giselle. It's on her TikTok is blowing up. She's doing great. So I'll see her. It's and she's also more in the neighborhood, right? I think she's also sort of around East York and everything. So, but I mean, most of the hosts, like I think they'll still like pockets will see each other here and there, right? I mean, I'm from the time where it was the original guy, so it was like Patty and Kevin started it in '94. Kevin Brosh, who's another East York guy, he went to collegiate. I got there in '95.
All these TV guys are East York people, huh?
East York's the spot, man. Yeah. East York, like come on, that's all right. Look, you get this East York, Scarborough, Little North York. It's like, yeah, man, like that's the pocket. So, but she's plugging away, she's doing stuff. So, it's but I would say Giselle, I definitely see quite a bit. And then through her, I see Julie. There are two Julies. It's Julie 1 and Julie 2. So she's Julie 2, who I affectionately call Black Julie because she's black, like I said. So I'll see Black Julie and stuff. You see a few of the, and then a bunch of them on social media as well, right? So, but yeah, we celebrated like the 25th anniversary of TVO Kids. We went out for a drink, Kevin, Patty, and I. And we went out and had a couple of drinks.
25th anniversary.
A few years ago. Next year will be the 30th anniversary of TVO Kids because that launched in '94. Yeah. So when I was doing the late night show, I launched May of '94. They launched, Patty and Kevin launched TVO Kids April of '94. So, year you were born.
Exactly. Then, I was born too.
What's that?
April's the same month. So.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, right then and everything. There you go. All right. They started April 4th. When's your birthday?
3rd.
April 3rd. All right. You see that? You came in the world the 3rd. They said, all right, we better get this guy a show. April 4th. They got that started. He'll be ready in 4 years. He'll be in kindergarten. He'll be good to go. We'll get him Giselle by that time. It's going to be good. Right? Like it's look, we're so fortunate because that is just such a big part of childhoods and, growing up. I think about the shows I used to watch when I was growing up and, just the honor it was to be able to host TVO Kids and to do the Crawl Space and Arthur and Magic School Bus and Kratz Creatures and Pingu and just all this stuff. Bill Nye the Science Guy, all this stuff that people really, really love and stuff, right? Yeah. Classics. And then also just stuff that people are always like really, really fond of. So, look, it's amazing the stuff I get. I answer to Joe. Pingu! Oh, yeah. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Like, yo, man, Kratz. All right. Yeah. That's right. That's an Art Attack. All right. Yeah. How you doing? Like, it's just people just spit out the shows and everything, right? So, was super fortunate to, to do that for such a long time. And then, look, I know how just the loyalty, right, that you feel for those shows in that time, right? So to be the guy that's introducing the Phenom or to be introducing these shows, it's I was, again, very fortunate. And again, even just the fact that I went to that cattle call, because that got me in the building, right? And look, I knew a lot of people who saw that ad in the paper, and I'm like, well, you should go, man. I'm like, hey, why don't we all go together? And I was the only guy that went. So I went, got that late night show, and then that late night show, Peter Herndorf, who was the chairman at the time, when they canceled the late night show, he said, put him on TVO Kids, because he thought, I'm going to end up on YTV or CBC, I'll be somewhere else or whatever, right? So keep him in the building. So walked on to TVO Kids, did that for 4 years. It was like, so I mean, that's the thing. You never know. You always take that chance. Always take it. There's no small anything, because that led to a late night show. We got nominated for a Gemini that year for Best Youth Series, which was awesome. Now it's the Canadian Screen Award, for back then they're called the Geminis. So, but not only did it lead to like a year of experience and this really, really cool show, that led to TVO Kids, which like took me all over the province. And I mean, Ontario's a big province. I mean, it's it's bigger than countries. So, we must have made like 200 appearances. So, North Bay, Thunder Bay, go out to Etobicoke, go out to Sarnia, Sudbury. It's just so lucky to see so much of the province that, so glad I had it. Such a great time. So, 100%.
Are you tight with Bill Nye?
Not tight. You'll sort of, he came to town and we've done a couple of events with Bill Nye. And he's a very, very cool guy. Like really, really nice, a lot of fun. Like we don't talk. We don't.
Oh no, I was gonna ask you to have him answer my DMs. Like, yo, Bill, I'm trying to holler at you, man.
Exactly right. Look, like Joe said, you're a good dude today, like that. It's like, yeah, I don't know him like that.
Right.
But we went out dancing after one of the events. He went out dancing.
That's the most random thing.
It is super random, but we did our some appearances. He did like a live show at the Science Center, and then our crew on TVO and Bill and I we went to the docks. Yeah. We went to the docks, and now it's Rebel if you're in the Toronto area, but once upon a time it was a magical place called the docks. And we went to the docks, and it was, probably the most motley group. It was very weird. Just work people and Bill and I, and, boom, 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 boom. But he danced, and everybody danced. So he was a lot of fun. So you can spit. Did you go dance with Joe at the docks? He's an old guy. You might not remember. Yeah. But good dude.
No, because he came by here. Can't remember. It was in October. He had something happening.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, he came by. So I was flooding his DM. That's all. Yeah. Yo, Bill.
Yeah, you got to hit him in the DMs.
I need 2 hours of your time.
Right? That's right. I can do it over Zoom. I can do it. You don't have to come in. Come on, man. Suck it up. He's a good dude, though.
I'm glad to hear that. What do you miss about the city of Toronto? Because you grew up in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
So can you share something from the 70s and 80s that is non-existent today?
I'll share with you
but would be
from the 90s.
Great for us right now.
Yeah. To go that far back, look, Ontario Place was a magical place. I loved Ontario Place. Ontario Place, you hear about it now a lot in the news because they're trying to figure out what to do with that. But that was a place that, I liked Ontario Place more than the Canadian National Exhibition. Everyone would go to the X, love the X, but my mom would take my brother and I, where are we going, Mom? You go through the exhibition to get to Ontario Place. Right. And it was just like, oh man, the Cinesphere, where you'd watch like IMAX movies, and it was like you felt like you were flying to watch it again. Because with things that you hold dear because you were a kid, Ontario Place was magical. If I was a mogul, if I was a guy with a crap ton of money, I would have bought Ontario Place. I would have added stuff to it and just left it as is. Ontario Place was amazing. So 70s and 80s, that was great. I'll tell you, 90s, getting into 20s. Toronto used to have the entertainment district here in the city where people would go and they dance. So late 80s, there were all kinds of empty warehouses and factories, warehouses that were downtown, and DJs would hold parties there because there's all this space, we can throw parties here and stuff. They throw parties, and that's how the clubs all came to be. We came of age in 91. We would go down Go-Go's, Fluid, Joker. There's, so you go down Richmond, and it was just lines. And then there's Peter John. You come down this way, down Adelaide, lines. It was like from out of the movies, right? Like now thinking back about it and stuff, because we just grew up having it. It was the movies, right? It was just it was crazy. Where are we gonna go? We're gonna go to Money. We're going to go to Limelight. We're going to go to Afterlife. We're going to go to... there's so many names that are bouncing through my head now, stuff like that. I can just see them all and stuff like that, right? Tonic and Power Bar and Seven. So it was insane. And, it's weird now. If I go down there, just drive down Richmond, Adelaide, it's just condos and, the theaters there, whatever. So you're telling... Everybody missed out. When you're talking about because now I talk to people. Look, I think there's a couple of, I think King West is a couple of spots. I think that's it. It's a couple of douchey places, I guess, and that's where everybody goes. Right. Fine. This little thing. That's what I heard. I can't go there, but that's what it is. But back then, you want to talk about, and my friends now, because they tell me, people don't really go out dancing, or they don't. There's not all these. Back then, man, that's I wish people today, I wish you guys could see what Toronto was. I don't know where people, if you're visiting Toronto, I don't know where does a tourist go? Do you just sit on the, at Jack Astor's or is that what they do now? Back then, man, it was bonkers. And I miss it. I drive down there, I see, I'm just and look, it's all good memories, right? Because it's just, look, young, just being young and just music. And to go in, and maybe you're rapping to girls, A lot of times you're just dancing. Sometimes you go into a hip hop spot. Sometimes it's just house music all night long. It was, man, like it was the best. Like it was, so I'm sorry you guys didn't get Ontario Place in its prime. I'm sorry if you're a Toronto dweller. I'm sorry you didn't get the Entertainment District. Richmond, Adelaide, Google it, find out. It was really, really nice. That was...
Any famous restaurants that used to exist when you were younger that no longer are here? That you
restaurants. Really man, I'll tell you a place that went away recently that I'm really upset about. Fahmy Bakery. Fahmy used to have you know the beef patties at Warden Station?
Yes.
So that Warden Station, Bathurst, also Islington. Usually I didn't go so far up to Islington, but definitely there. So they always had these beef patties that were like the bomb beef patty, just super delicious, the best. And so I was talking with my buddy Mark Andrada. We'd done a couple of shows ago, and he told me, yo, it's Fahmy Bakery, and they had a location on Lansdowne. You can just go there and just go get them. I'm like, what? Ran down there. I was getting like 2 dozen at a time. I take them home, freeze some. Like just all I was eating was I'm like, oh man, here they are. And then that location closed down. So then I went to Scarborough. The one I think it was Montezuma. I think it was Brimley. So go up Brimley around Finch somewhere, and then their location was there. I was going there. All right, man. They had some fire a year ago, and the place now is mysteriously closed. And now
insurance scam.
Look, man, there's not a whole lot of things. I don't ask for a lot in this world. I don't ask for a lot of things. I just want a place to dance. Clubs are gone. I just want those beef patties. Beef patties are gone. It's like, come on, man. Like I'm not asking for a lot. Like, and I know there's all kinds of, there are places, but those were the patties, man. Right. Like those were my mouth is watering right now, man. Just thinking about those beef patties. It's like, so that makes me sad. That gets me in the feels. That gets me right there. So they're gone now, man. So yeah, but that, right. Oh my gosh. And then there were like a couple of spots like Yonge and Eglinton. TVO is located at Yonge and Eglinton. So, you know, there were a couple of like fun restaurants around there that we go to after work. There's a place called Mediterraneo, which was, you know, a really nice spot. Just like for atmosphere, you go in there, it was like really, really good. That's not there anymore. You know, look, I know everything changes. I know cities change. I know that, you know, your favorite spot and, you know, it has to go. But man, it is there's just some stuff where you just like, you know, you just want it back. That said, I got my fill. You know, there's a lot of people that have regrets. You know, they look back, oh man, why don't we go to that place or why don't we go to there? I went to all the places. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like went to all the places. So I don't have any regrets about the fact that, like, you know, I'm never like I didn't dance enough or I didn't go out enough or I went to all those spots, which was good. See, now you got me wistful because now I'm just thinking back. Now I'm talking, those halcyon days. Oh, man, that was amazing. But there's some good times. But look, you're going to have some stuff. It's going to be gone in 20 years. You're going to be like, man, I can't believe that's gone now. I'm going to get rid of it. Right. So enjoy it while you got it.
Right.
Smoke them when you got them. They will go away, 100%.
Right. I know that you have a new show. Is it still on the air? It's called the Ice... I wrote it down here.
Ice Cold Cash. All right.
Is Ice Cold Cash.
It is on. That is not a new show. Ice Cold Cash was on. We did that for Food Network.
Right.
That'd be almost like 9 years ago now.
Oh, okay, all right.
And it keeps coming back. Like, you know, so Game TV brings it back, and currently, you know, there's a couple of stations down in the States that would get it. So now there's a station called Dabble, D-A-B-L, in the States, and they're airing Ice Cold Cash. So now which is actually great because now I get all these messages now. Again, you know, this is a good thing in social media. My Facebook page, all these people are discovering the show, right? And, you know, I think I look the same, you know. Yeah. Everything looks the same. It was shot in HD. So it looks crisp and everything, right? It's like, oh, we love the show. They're going to do another season. And it's like, man, like I wish. Like, love doing that show. That show was so much fun. And it's a credit to how well they produced it, that it looks new, right? But that's been on. So, you know, look, I pimp it any chance I get because I love that there's new people that are like finding the show and discovering it. I get these great messages, you know, from like all over the States, like, you know, oh, like great show. We love the show. We love you on the show. So I'm like, yo, like that's pretty fantastic. So it's, that's sort of a gift that keeps on giving. Right. But I've got, on Treehouse, there's a show called Miss Persona. And they got like this a great cast together for that kids show. That is on Treehouse. It streams on Amazon Prime and on Peacock. And I get to play Mayor Joe, the Fix It Up Forest. That's on right now, which is great. And then still doing a bunch of animation, which has been amazing because, we were able to keep on doing that through the pandemic, keep on knocking that stuff out. So, look, it's been knock on everything. It's been, fortunate just to keep busy and to keep working, to keep doing stuff and like good projects and stuff that people like. Like, I don't get any tomatoes thrown at me or tomatoes, as my parents would say. Tomatoes, not Canadian, it's tomatoes. Like, all right. But don't get any of those thrown at me. Right. So been really fortunate to still be busy and still doing stuff.
I was just about to ask, is there anything you have going on right now? Anything bubbling?
Yeah, got those. We're working on some new shows that'll be coming out like 2024. There's one called Lila in the Loops. It's an animated show. So I play like the Lila's, little girl, her and her sisters and her brother going off on adventures. So I get to play Lewis. He's the dad who runs the diner, who, make sure they kind of keep everything in line and stuff. That'll come out 2024, so I'm excited about that. Okay, nice. There's another one, Zoki Sparkleby. I get to play Caldwell, the big buff nerd. He's like this gamer that like gets to goof off and everything. He comes in from time to time. So there's another one called Wombats. It's on right now. It's another preschool show. So I play Mr. E. He's an iguana who runs the Everything Emporium in the Treeberhood. So it's, look, it's weird when I tell my friends, like, this is my job. Like, this is what, but like, this is what I do and stuff, right? So, been fortunate. 29 years and counting. We'll see if we can keep it going and stuff like that, man.
Joe, I appreciate you. Coming by. It's not over yet, but my final question to ask you would be, what keeps you motivated? Like, how do you keep yourself afloat after all these years?
It's enjoyment. Look, I don't want to sound, loving your job is key to life. Here in North America, we work to live. We live to work. All we do is work, right? Everywhere else in the world, you go to, Spain and they siesta in the middle of the afternoon. You go to Norway, they get 3 months paid vacation, whatever it may be. Here's the only place where it's like, 45, 55, 60 hours a week. You work weekends. So, and now with, people working from home, I'm sure bosses are like, hey, if you could just get this done during the weekend, have it ready by Monday. It's all we do. So you got to love your job. And I never take it for granted that I've got a job that I love, that I've got a career that I worked hard to get, that I continually work hard at, right? I think a lot of times people can rest in their laurels. You break and then you figure, all right, I'm in. And it's like, nah, man, you got to keep on improving. You got to keep on getting better. You got to keep on, fine tuning, right? And because, you can't just, I did a show back in, 76. It's like, well, great, man. It's not 76 anymore.
Right, yeah.
What do you have? Do you have some new skills? Can you do some new stuff? So, so I've been, so the fact that I love what I do is sort of the motivation. The fact that I've got, people that enjoy the shows and that will hit me up and say, hey, you know what? Like I was saying earlier, I've enjoyed the things that I've done, enjoy the things I keep on doing, that maybe I'm a face that they still need to see, right? I love that they like to see it, but I know there's people that need to see it. So, that, kind of keeps me going as well and stuff, right? It's this is what I wanted. And, when I think about TVO Kids and Medabots and Life's a Zoo and, I got to do a sports show at CBC for a couple of years. And I love sports. That allowed me to I did Off the Record, which was like a panel show. I got to do that for like 7 years, just get to sit and talk sports. That's like dream stuff, right? So it motivates me that not everybody gets to do what they want to do.
Right.
And if you're given a gift, don't take the gift for granted. Not everybody gets to do what they want. So if you get to do what you want, then you should eat that up like a Fami Bakery beef patty. You should devour it and try to get more each day.
Right.
And just keep driving and keep going and keep getting better. It'll always, my mother passed away 2019. My dad passed away in 2020. So a lot of the lessons they told me about driving and about, all that stuff I was talking about at school and not wanting to skip school because they came to this country. It doesn't mean that stops. You never stop. You keep going, right? Keep going, keep getting the things. There's lots of things I still like to achieve and like to get and like to do and so you just keep going. So it's just, it's that daily. Enjoying it and not knowing what could happen tomorrow. I never take vacation because you never know when the next audition for that gig is coming, right? And it's a sacrifice that I've made, over my time. Now, the great thing is that because of my job, I've traveled everywhere. TV Ontario took me all over the province. When I was at CBC doing the sports show, that took me all over the country. So I've been in every province or territory, I think, save for Yukon and Nova Scotia. Got to see a bunch of the states. I hosted a travel show. I got to go to Sydney, Shanghai, Rome, Athens, and Madrid.
Nice.
So 3 continents. So, when you talk about the stuff of dreams, if this is the stuff of dreams.
Right.
If I had done this in the States, I'd be retired. I mean, if I had had half my career, say, in the States that I've had up here, I'm probably retired. And that's a wrap or whatever. But I've also had a chance just to be able to do so much and to see so much that, you get a taste for it, right? And again, that next gig could be tomorrow. And I love the fact that this stuff floats even with Ice Cold Cash. Somebody could watch that on Dabble or flipping channels. Like, oh my gosh, Motiki, I didn't even think about him for this gig.
Right.
And then the next one comes. So, you just keep eating, right? Keep pushing, you keep eating, keep getting it and stuff. So, for me, it's just, this is what I wanted. So I take none of this for granted. None of it. It's a mistake that a lot of people make. Don't take anything for granted. If you've earned it and you've worked hard for it, understand that it could go tomorrow for whatever reason. And sometimes it can be because of you, because you took it for granted and you get lazy at your job, or you get lazy and you don't treat people the way they should be treated, or and that's when you spiral and you go, oh, what happened? You happened. You did it to yourself.
Right.
So, don't take it for granted. Just keep pushing, 100%.
Awesome. Joe, I want to thank you for your time. You guys have any questions you want to ask?
Joe, what do you do to look so young? I was saying black don't crack, but I kind of need to know what you're doing instead of applying it to my life.
That's right. Look, man, the only moisturizer I ever use is Nivea. So it comes in the blue tin or whatever, right? So I remember it's like, my mom used to, when I was a kid, right? She'd take it and she'd dot it on my face. We'd laugh. She'd look in the mirror, you got dots, and then she'd rub it in or whatever, right? So I don't dot it anymore, but that's the only thing I've ever used. And just Nivea, that's it. So, so that, and probably look, I live pretty clean. I never smoked. I've never done a drug. I drink Jack Daniels. I got Jack and Coke and good tequila, 1800 silver. That's pretty much the only bad things I put in my body. That's it. Tequila, Jack Daniels, and Nivea. That's it, man. Because even the stuff that's bad, it's still pretty good. So you do that, you're good to go with stuff like that, right? So that's it. So I mean, look, it's and look, I exercise. I grew up playing soccer. I still try to do stuff, but I don't spend a lot of time, in smoky rooms doing shady things. So that might be it. That might be it as well. That's right. Just put that on the T-shirt. You want to stay young? That's right. I didn't spend a lot of time doing shady things in smoky rooms. That's pretty much it. So yeah, man. And thank you. I'm glad I'm still keeping it up. That's what's up.
Awesome. Thank you, Joel. Thank you so much for your time, man.
All right, man.
All right. Peace. We're out.